For several years now, I've had this recurring nightmares where I'm late for the airport, I'm gonna miss my flight, something always happens. So I always plan way ahead. I look at construction maps, I look at lane closures, see if there's anything that's going to prevent me from getting to the airport on time. Pay a lot for these flights. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to cause any delay. So for our trip to Orlando that we just got back from, we booked a round trip service through something called SuperShuttle, and looks like pretty much like Uber. You land at your destination airport, you get your bags, and you check in and say, hey, I'm ready to be picked up. Times can fluctuate. You can get in 15 minutes early, you can get in later, problem with your baggage, stuff like that. It fluctuates so much that you can't really have a set time, so you just check in and say, I'm ready to be picked up. When our guy called and said, hey, can I pick you guys up at a different spot in the airport? We said, sure. We walked over there, picked us up, no problem. Well, yesterday when I checked in for our flight today, they had split us up again. My wife and our 2 kids were all in different corners of the airplane again. So I wanted to get there early to be able to talk to the people at the counter and say, hey, can you please try to get us at least close together so my kids don't have to ride by themselves. So as I looked at the SuperShuttle app this morning, we're supposed to be picked up at 10:55 a.m. When I looked at the map at like 10:20, the shuttle was at Cocoa Beach, which is on the east coast of Florida. Orlando's in the central area. There's no way that this guy is going to be able to get to where we were, because we're even 30 minutes west of the airport. So this guy's got to go from the coast through Orlando to where we were, the resort side, back over to the airport. So this is not going to happen in 20 minutes. But, maybe the app isn't updated instantly, and maybe it's lagging behind. We'll see how it goes. So 10:55 comes, guy is still nowhere near close to where we are. 11, 11:10, 11:20, 11:30. I'm starting to panic because this is one of my nightmares, and the guy still wasn't even to Central Florida yet. I called the customer service for the SuperShuttle and was like, hey, this is what's happening. We have to be at the airport shortly. This guy's an hour late. I don't know what to do here. And then they say, oh, he's 10 minutes out. He's 10 minutes out. I was like, well, even if he's 10 minutes out, he's still an hour late, and he's still got to pick up us, then another family at a different resort, then a half an hour drive to the Orlando airport. There's no way we're going to make it on time. Okay, yeah, it'll be fine. So I look at the map again, and he's at the airport, but in the receiving area. So he's picking someone up. So he's still got to drop someone off, then come out a half an hour to pick us up at our resort, then pick up this other couple at another resort, then go back to the airport. There's no way we're going to make it. So I'm like, I'm frantically, calling and talking to people, help desk, stuff like that. I don't know what to do. We've already paid $50 for, each way for this service. So this man who is the driver for a different shuttle service, he's talking to me. He happens to be parked where we're waiting. He's like, hey, you should have booked with us, man. Who did you get your flight or your shuttle through? I was like, SuperShuttle. He's like, man, I hear so many complaints about them. I was like, okay, it's good to know. I'll take that, knowledge with me for next time. As I get more and more agitated, and it gets closer and closer to the last possible moment we can leave and still make it through security and to our gate on time, the guy goes, you know what? he grabs one of our bags. He starts loading it into his shuttle. It's like it's a big, kind of a bus. He's like, I'm going to the airport anyway. I've got room. I'm not going to charge you anything. Let me just take you. I was like, can't and he's like, dude, you're here with your family. I don't want this to be the last impression that your kids have of this nice family trip you took. And I'm going there anyway. So let's go. So we load all our stuff in. We get into the shuttle, and he takes us over immediately to Orlando International Airport. As we're riding there, I'm just grateful beyond belief for this man who's just out of the kindness of his heart doing this for us. But I'm also on Twitter messaging the SuperShuttle people and saying, hey, this is what happened. Cancel this, and I want a refund. An hour late at that point is unacceptable, and it was going to be even more than an hour late. So if it wasn't for this guy who had overheard us, and overheard me on the phone, frantically trying to figure something out because we got to get to the airport, we wouldn't have made it. And I gave him all of the cash I had. I was like, this is all the cash I have left. I want you to have it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And he just smiled and said, you're with your family, man. I want this to be an enjoyable trip for you guys. So we went up inside, got through. It was a really easy way. Usually, every time I've left Orlando, the lines for TSA, there's been like 8 or 9 different lines. They slither through the concourse, and it just takes forever. For some reason, we hit it right at the right time, and we made it through. And then we got up to the gate, and I ran ahead. I told my wife to stay with the kids. I ran up to the counter to get us to switch the to see if they could switch seats so we could be with their kids. And there was no one there, so I was like, okay, I'm looking through my app, and I see we're 4 across, all in the same row. And it had already been switched for me from the time we left the hotel until the time we got to the airport. So when a lady finally came to the counter, I was like, hey, I printed out my boarding passes this morning, and we're all in different spots. And now, but I look in the app, we're all together. Which one should I believe? And she's like, oh yeah, well I had some time, so I went through and I tried to match all of the, the last names together so that people could be, with their families and stuff. And I was just like, wow, thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. So all of these different calamities going on throughout the day, everything I could think of, that could go wrong was going wrong. And miraculously, each one of them kind of solved themselves, and actually in a better situation than I could have ever hoped for. So it started off bad, and through these little miracles, we made it home safely and on time. I don't know whether to be pissed off about all the things that went wrong or just extremely grateful for all of the ways that someone must have been looking out for us and allowed us to get home on time. I'm going to go with the second one and just be thankful.